morning, Steeler Nation, or good afternoon, Steeler Nation. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Australia. Man, another day and another step closer to the regular season. However, with a step closer to the regular season, there is going to be roster cuts. The Steelers have gone from 85 players down to 80. And today, guys, we're going to talk about it. And there are some big names on the list, I guess. You kind of scratch your head and go, should they have been maybe a practice squad player? Could there be potential to play this player into the third preseason game and see what happens from there? And there's other guys on this list you're like, well, I thought that two would have been gone for sure. Now, I could have made a video trying to predict those two, but that's okay. But I'll let you know who those two are. So let's find out the five, if you guys don't know already, if it is breaking news to you. It certainly is breaking news to me. It happened only a few hours ago when I woke up. And these are the five here. So the five are Chris Oladokun, Untitled Avery, Christian Blake, the receiver, running back Mateo Duran, and Nick Skiba. So according to Steelers.com, Steelers released 5 players in order to get down to the mandatory 80-man roster by 4 p.m. Tuesday, which is today. Okay, including releasing one of their 2022 draft picks. And now that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. The team released those 5 guys, which I talked about. Oladokun, who played out of South Dakota State, was selected in the 7th round. So we'll talk about him too. And Avery was the other big guy I thought had a chance to make this roster. So what are your thoughts so far, Steeler Nation? The teams also have to cut down from now 80 players. Like 80 players, there's still a lot of players on the roster. 80 players to 53 in literally about, 1 week's time. So what are your thoughts on these 5? Chris Oladokun, Untitled Avery, Christian Blake, Mateo Duran, Nick Skiba. If we start with, I guess we'll go from top to bottom, just the way that I've laid it out. And if we start with Chris Oladokun, there's one big point. I'll come back to reference his picture over and over, right? But Chris Oladokun was a 7th rounder. Now, during the draft, I was like, well, you went and got Kenny Pickett. Why would they go and sign or draft another quarterback in the 7th round? Why would you pick up 2 rookie quarterbacks? To me, it didn't make too much sense. Now, this, of course, was in relation to the news of Dwayne Haskins and the passing. And I don't think Haskins was on the roster at the time of the draft. Now let me know if I'm wrong, but I think that's the reason why they did it, was Haskins wasn't there. Rest in peace, Haskins. They went and got Kenny Pickett, and they went and drafted Chris Oladokun. And the Steelers often have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. They've done it for many years. They've had 3 quarterbacks, and they have someone on the practice squad. Now, the Steelers, with the release of Chris Oladokun, they have Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph. 3 quarterbacks, right? So it feels kind of strange doing that. But in all honesty, I don't have a positive view or really a negative view out of it, because we didn't see Chris Oladokun play. So that's maybe the only downside I can think of, is we didn't see the guy play at all. Now, why would you go out there and waste a 7th rounder? Well, some may say it's a waste, and others may say, well, it's so close to being an undrafted guy. That's what it kind of feels like. Maybe it feels like the 7th round is that close to being, he could have been undrafted and they could have picked him up anyway after the draft, right? I don't really see a positive or a negative with it. The only unfortunate thing is the fella didn't get a chance to play. We didn't see him throw the football. We didn't see him in game action. So that kind of sucks as a fan perspective, right? If I go back to it, Untitled Avery got let go. Now, I had some high hopes for Untitled Avery, and he played pretty well last game. He got held many times. I think I counted twice where he got held on the play. In my opinion, that the reports I was reading and the video I saw, or the gameplay I saw from Untitled Avery, ex-Brown and ex-Eagle, I thought he was doing okay in training camp in the preseason game. I thought he was having a good time. I thought he was rushing the passer quite well. However, apparently the Steelers want to get rid of him. So that to me is also quite surprising to see Avery gone, because now there's no real pass rush. So besides guys like Highsmith and TJ, who's behind? Who's going to back up? Derek Zutska, I think's in there. Who else is in there? Hamikal Rashid. You know what I mean? We don't know who these guys are. So, and they let go of a skipper. Maybe they have a plan, maybe they don't. But I found that one quite funny as well. Jannard Avery gone. Now the last three, I thought there was a big chance they're going to get cut. Now Christian Blake, receiver, he's cut because there is already in the receiver room right now. There's already Steve Sims. There's Oshesky. There's Miles Boykin. Those guys trying to make the roster, along with Austin, Pickens, Claypool. There's so many guys, so many receivers at this position. So I kind of thought that was going to happen. Tyler Vaughn's in there. So he's the odd man out. The next two, I actually thought was going to happen. Mateo Duran had a really bad game versus Jaguars, had a fumble, didn't look like a run, a caliber, NFL running back. Didn't really see that. And lastly, Nick Skiba. To a certain extent, this guy has to be cut at some stage. Nick Skiba is backing up behind Chris Boswell. Now, he had a pretty good preseason. I think he sort of kicked a few goals through the uprights and did okay. But to a certain degree, Nick Skiba is only going to be there for a few games. Now, Chris Boswell heading into his last game of the preseason, Chris Boswell will use those as reps to get ready for the Bengals game. So Skiba and Mateo Duran doesn't really bother me. And Christian Blake was like, well, he's a receiver at the very end of the line. The other two, Jannard Avery and Chris Oladokun, I wish we had a chance to see them play a little bit more than they already did. But guys, let me know your thoughts below. What do you think? Are you happy with those cuts? Do you like those cuts? Because I like 3 out of the 5. I'm okay with Blake, Durant, and Skiba. Oladokun and Avery, I kind of wish they had a chance to play in the last preseason game to get some more data and just see what they can do with this team.